That's a really hard question. How to describe cheese to someone who's never had it is almost like how to describe what looking at color is like to me. It's a tough thing to do, but it's a really interesting and insightful question.
Hello, welcome to Sip with Nikki. It's Nikki Lamberti here in Sonoma County, California, and I am feeling good and so happy to have you with us. If you did not listen to our episode 2 weeks ago on June 30th, highlighting Dr. Hoby Wedler, I encourage you to go back and listen to one of the most popular episodes I've done in the entire year and a half that I've been doing this. And I think the reason that Dr. Hoby resonates with so many people, both when he is a podcast guest, but also on his Instagram account that has really exploded, is that he is so skilled at describing flavor and aromas and just experiences of whether it's fruit or wine or food. Hoby is blind since birth and has a PhD in organic chemistry. And he's just a wonderful guide to so many people that makes you stop and think like, oh, that's why that tastes the way it does, or that's why I don't like what I don't like. So we thought that we would put this wonderful skill that he has to the test. And I invited Hoby and his partner, Justin, over for dinner. So you'll hear them joining Michael and I in our kitchen. And we're also joined this week by a special guest, my dear friend, Kim Johnson. Kim and I grew up together in New Jersey, pretty much our entire lives together, but she lives in Virginia now. And she made a trip out here for a visit this weekend to go to chemotherapy number 14 out of 16 with me. Almost done. And we had a lot of fun this weekend visiting the coast, doing a little bit of wine tasting, and culminated with her getting to meet Hoby and Justin and get to be a part of this very cool pairing night, is what we're calling it. So in this week's episode, we're going to dive into some of the principles that Hoby can teach us about why things go well with other things, whether it's food and wine or people and relationships. But we get into some tips as to finding those combinations, why they work, why they don't. And then Kim, who's been a longtime listener, like she had a choice, actually gets to bring some of her listener questions literally in person to the kitchen counter. And as you'll hear, Hoby blows our minds with some of his explanations and tips. And then join us next week for part 2, where we just left the mics running as we prepared about 6 different courses and paired them with different wines and all weighed in and talked about our impressions. So that's what's coming next week. So here we go with Pairing Night Part 1. Hi, Hoby.
Nikki, how are you?
This is becoming a thing with you in my kitchen.
I am so honored to be invited back for another encore episode. This is really fun, and I just love what you're working on. I love seeing where the podcast has gone in the past several months, and you're really taking off with it, and you've got a lot of subscribers, and it's so educational. I love Mondays because I get to listen into your latest episode.
Oh,
and it's fun.
Thanks. Speaking of educational, right back at you, Instagram exploding influencer with your bajillion followers watching you eat pieces of fruit. That's pretty amazing. I guess we're both doing this.
We're having fun.
Same kind of thing in a weird way, and it's so much fun.
And you know what it is? It's about our love for getting people excited about things they may not have been excited about before. I think we're 2 peas in a pod that way when it comes down to just loving to share our passion with the world.
Yes. And today we're sharing that passion in the middle of our kitchen, surrounded by our loved ones.
Yes.
Both of our partners, Michael and Justin, are also here. And we have a special VIP out-of-town visitor, Miss Kimberly Scarborough. She's always going to be Kimberly Scarborough Johnson. And we're going to hear from Kim in a minute because she actually has some listener questions.
Oh my gosh.
I want to let our listeners know that we are on location in the kitchen, and it is an evening of cooking and pairing and recording. So you're hearing sounds all around us, live time. We are not in studio. We are at the kitchen island.
Live with cooking.
And this is how we do it.
And it's the best thing ever to immerse ourselves in the kitchen and sit around the communal table. And that was one of the whole things that we talked about when we worked with you to name your wine brand, So Lovato, is you wanted people to have a communal place to come together and eat and drink.
That's right.
And share stories. And that's
right.
exactly what we're doing now.
It's my favorite thing, just to surround this kitchen with people around the counter, and we just cook and eat and tell stories and
It's the way to do it.
occasionally throw microphones on.
And what more is life if you can't drink and tell stories and just have a really good time together?
That's right. And I will tell you that some of the most listened to episodes for me with Sip with Nikki have been about food and wine pairing. So I know there is a lot of interest in this. And I know that your followers have lots of questions too about just the chemistry of flavor and smell and what goes well together. So that is what we're talking about here today.
I love it. I love it.
And we're going to be doing our own pairing with some beautiful things that we're going to cook and eat and review as a group. And I think that's going to be part 2 of this series. And I don't even know what we're calling this yet.
That might take a little longer to edit.
That's going to take a little longer.
I know, yeah.
But before we do that, I wanted to just set the foundation about just some food and wine pairing principles, especially knowing that you're coming at it from a food and wine pairing, because you're coming at it from a chemistry standpoint.
Sure.
And I think you have some pointers for our listeners about why certain things go well together and certain things don't.
Totally. And first of all, I want to make a disclaimer here, which is that any wine pairing that you like is the best wine pairing in the world. If you like it, it's good. Yes, there's some science behind it, but first and foremost, wine is an art, and the way that wine and food blend is totally an art form in and of itself, and it is subjective. But the whole point is that it's subjective. It's what you like. I want to talk about things that I like. I want to hear about things that you like. But the basis of pairing, because wine to me is an art before it's a science, and the basis of what is good is what you think is good and what you love and cherish yourself. So just to break down a little bit of the chemistry of food and wine pairing, I like to think of wine as being 3 key components. The first one is water, right? So wine is about 85 to 90% water. And the second component is ethanol or alcohol. Tends to be anywhere from 10 to 15%, 10 being on the very low end, 15 being a little higher. And then the third thing that's really crazy in wine that makes it special and what it is acid. So a lot of what we do, because grapes are acidic by nature, and when we ferment sugars to form alcohol, we're obviously getting rid of those sugars, but the acid sticks around. So those are the 3 main components. And then the fourth component of wine is everything else. All those beautiful flavor molecules that make a Pinot Noir taste like a Pinot Noir and a delicious Sangiovese taste like a delicious Sangiovese, right? They all have water, ethanol, and acid, but it's those little trace molecules that make up less than 1% of what's in your glass that differentiate it and give it that wow factor. And sometimes, in many cases, that wow factor determines what we want to pair the wine with.
I don't think I ever heard you break that down that specifically in those numbers. And I knew that all of those other flavor molecules were small, but you're saying 1%?
1%
That's
or less
crazy.
that makes a wine taste
That's crazy.
the way that it does. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
And it goes to show you how far a little bit of something with a really powerful flavor can go.
Yeah, amen.
And those little molecules, by the way, when you take a bite of a grape, the grape is going to taste sweet, but not really very flavorful until you break down all those little sugar cages, which the sugar cages like to wrap around little molecules that taste really good. And then now we can taste them because we've broken away that sugar and turned it into wine. So when I think about food pairing, I think about a few things. Number one, what is the acid level of my wine? Every wine's going to have acid, so it's going to have pH lower than 7, pretty significantly lower than 7.
Usually about 3 to 4.
Usually about 3 to 4. And you want to think about what the food you're pairing likes. Does it like a really tart, crisp, quenching wine? Or does it like something that's a little bit looser and more fruit forward and less high in acid? And I tend to find that more acidic foods like more acidic wines more.
Yep.
To me, like attracts like. And opposites attract. We know that from chemistry and relationships. But in wine pairing, I really think like likes like.
Yeah.
And so if we're going to drink a crisp white wine, I actually brought a Vermentino from my good friends and soon to be your good friends at Mounts Winery up in West Dry Creek. They do a delicious Vermentino, which is an Italian varietal from Tuscany and Sardinia and Liguria in Italy. But theirs is really fruit forward because it's from Dry Creek. That's a more acidic wine. It's very dry, but I think it's going to pair really nicely with some fruit and some cheese. Ooh, thank you.
I'm pouring this Mounts Vermentino
Thank
as we
you.
speak.
Thank you
Kim, would
so
you like
much.
some so you can follow along
Kim,
with us?
give it a try. Yeah.
Kim's
love
got
that.
a beer in front of her too,
Nice.
because she was just getting a preview of the tandoori chicken wings with some, IPA?
Yep.
Very nice.
We'll,
Hey, I'm a cross drinker. I drink wine and beer. It's no
Yeah.
problem for me.
we'll talk about that. But yeah, we've got
Thank you,
this
Nikki, for the pour.
2023 Mounts Vermentino in the glass.
And I just might go on to say one other thing before we dive into this one, which is that I think big red wines, and even red wines that don't have that huge in-your-face spice, tobacco component, or fruit component, really like to pair well with things that are a little more savory, a little more, and white wines too. Who am I kidding? White wines love cheese, they love olives, they love all that stuff. But I think they're a little more tolerant of things like fruit, and because I've done a lot of content with fruit, I just thought we'd have a little fun with some summer fruits, talking about how they pair with white wine in particular.
Are you
So-
saying that you're very fruit forward? Is that what you're saying?
Some may say so.
Na, 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 na.
I'm going to offer a cheers to you fine, wonderful people. Cheers. This is great to good health and great lives and happiness.
This Vermentino is not super fruity on the nose.
It's not.
It's a little matchsticky.
It is, and it's very minerally and flinty. What's funny about that is I really like that when you bring a fruit into the fold. So to me, this is has a nice flint. Kim, do you taste the flinty? Minerally. Minerals, yep. And I often use those words somewhat mistakenly, interchangeably.
Wasn't the flint what we would use in chemistry lab to where
Yes.
you were like and it would spark?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's a flint and steel.
Yep.
And it sparks, and it has that smell.
Were we lab partners, Kim? We may have been. We probably were.
Awesome.
Yeah, we probably were.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. You guys have known each other since you were born.
Yes, we have.
Quite literally.
Yes, we have. So this wine is nice. Yeah, I would not call it super fruity.
And it's not sweet.
It is not. It's
That-
dry and minerally.
That's a really big deal to me, Nikki, by the way, and Kim, that I really want to point out is that I don't like pairing things that are sweeter than the wine with the wine. So I'm going to hopefully not burst a lot of people's romantic bubble when I say that I don't approve of chocolate and red wine.
Me neither.
It doesn't work. It makes the chocolate worse and it makes the wine worse.
Amen.
If you're going to eat chocolate and drink wine, drink your wine and then eat the chocolate.
Yeah,
Or
it's
vice versa.
not great together. It's got to get super
I'm glad you don't
specific,
mix
like
them.
with a port and a dark chocolate, but port
Exactly.
has sweetness.
It does. Or a Madeira and dark,
Yes,
or
yeah.
any sort of dessert wine, late
Yeah.
harvest Sauterne, things like that. They're going
Yeah.
to be better suited. And the food that sort of reminds you of the wine the most, I think, is the food to pair with it. So for me, Pinot Noir, for instance, really reminds me of poultry, chicken, duck, turkey, things like that. So for me,
Remind you of, meaning you get the notes of
I
those
get
things in the
a
wine?
little bit, yeah, and the wine's softer, so it's not like a heartier protein like beef or pork. It's more.
So like the weight, body,
Yeah.
richness of it reminds you
That-
of poultry.
That's it. And,
Okay.
and the aroma. So I wouldn't say that I smell chicken when I smell Pinot, but the body, the weight of the body, if you will, reminds me of that. Whereas if you have a cab or a beautiful Sangiovese or something like that's going to be more of your beef or your stronger fish and that sort of thing, and really give that kind of vibe.
Okay, great tip.
Yeah, the other thing that I love about Pinot Noir, by the way, is it's the perfect Thanksgiving bottle of wine. So if you're looking at what to pair, you've got all these people coming over that maybe you want to see, maybe you don't, and you think, what am I going to serve with this turkey dinner? Pinot Noir is always a home run.
Because it's like a chameleon, right?
It is.
But I feel
So
the same
is.
way about Viognier, or should I say Viognier,
Yay!
on the Thanksgiving table, because
agree.
even though it's a white, it's full-bodied,
I fully agree.
and it has quite a spectrum of things that it can pair with.
I fully agree. 100%.
We were talking about Thanksgiving wine. Viognier is a chameleon,
such
so
a
we
good
like
wine.
Pinot and Viognier for really versatile red and versatile white
Totally.
choices. Okay.
Totally. So when you're loading up your Thanksgiving table, dare I say, in just 4.5 months, you can keep that in mind.
Yeah,
Shall we try a piece of fruit with this?
we shall. What would you like to
Vermentino?
try?
I think we should try an apricot.
Okay. Do you want me to cut it?
I'm just going to pull it apart.
Okay.
I'm just going to be handsy with it.
Get handsy in my kitchen. Okay. And do you advise, when people are really tasting to look for a pairing, to do taste the wine first,
Always.
then a bite, and
Yep.
then back to the wine?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, so the wine is your North Star. when you're pairing. And if the wine doesn't, if your hunch is that it won't work, it probably won't work.
Okay. Let's taste our North Star.
I'm going to taste my North Star, and I'm going to try this with a little piece of cheese. This is a Tuscan, first I'm tasting the wine.
Okay.
By the way, apricots, if they're right, are one of my absolute favorite fruits because they just remind me of summer freshness so much.
Can't tell you the last time I bit an apricot that was not dried. Oh, it's almost like nectarine. You forget how related they are because I'm usually eating apricots dry. And where
dry
I'm
all
from,
year.
New Jersey, we say apricot, not apricot. Do you say apricot, Ken?
Apricot.
But you, Hoby, are saying apricot. Funny.
I grew up in California calling them apricots, but
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who call them apricots.
It's lovely. It's not super sweet, and there's some tartness to it.
And you know what's funny is it has a little bit of an olivey note, and that's just the freshness of that apricot.
Okay.
Green and fresh.
Skin is what, bitter?
I'm just saying, like the olive, I get the olive more on the end of it.
Skin is like a peach.
Yeah. I've never had that.
Very
I don't think I've
nectarine.
ever had an apricot. Like,
I know, we're all just, whoa, what was that?
Oh, wait till you try my apricot compote that I brought. Oh,
the
that.
meat inside is different texture.
Right. Yeah, it's not dried. So it's,
But it's like a nectarine, they're soft.
Right.
Peaches are soft. This has a little bit more chew to it.
got some leathery meat to it.
Yeah.
All right, should we try the wine again?
Yes.
All right.
Let's try it again. And I think it actually works really well.
Can you define it works really well? What about the pairing would make you say it works well versus does not work well?
So if I didn't have the cheese, I would say it wouldn't work well because you need that little bit of salty savory to go with that sweet fruit. To me, wine and fruit by itself is not necessarily a pairing made in heaven, but wine with a little something savory and fruit.
And you're calling cheese savory in this situation?
And the fruit mixes with the cheese to form just a really nice mouthfeel and flavor combination. So these apricots, to be perfectly honest, were a little green for me. I would have liked them to be a little riper, and I take full responsibility because I brought them.
You're fired.
Yeah, I know. But the greenness detracted from the wine, and it made the wine taste more green. You know what this wine would be perfect with? It'd be perfect with a pizza with like pear and this Tuscan cheese that's Syrah washed and maybe some caramelized onions. Like that type of flavor is what I'm going for here. But the fruit and the cheese really works okay too.
I agree. The cheese helps it.
What
For
do you
me,
think?
the quote greenness or underripeness of the apricot, even though it's delicious, makes the wine when I go back to it very linear and kind of
does.
sharp in my mouth.
And it takes away the complexity of the wine.
Yeah. Okay. So, do we think the cheese is a better pairing with the wine?
I think for this wine
Yeah.
and with the condition of this fruit, the cheese is better.
Yeah, I agree.
I think so.
It elevates the
No.
wine more.
Now, you and I also have some Santa Rosa plums to taste because I love Santa Rosa plums because we're sitting in Santa Rosa, California, and the story of Luther Burbank, who invented the Santa Rosa plum genetically and created truly, I think, one of the best plums that's out there. I'm cautiously optimistic about how it will work with the Vermentino simply because of that sugar level comment that we made earlier. Should we try it?
Yeah, I just sliced them up.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to the North Star.
Okay.
Freshen the palate. Now, one of the funnest things with Santa Rosa plum is smelling the plum. It has such a robust, Nikki, you and I were doing a podcast for Pride in May of 2020, and I mentioned that the Cabernet Franc that we were drinking really smelled like ripe plum. And you told me this story of being a little kid in New Jersey eating plums on the beach, on the Jersey Shore.
Out of the Igloo little Playmate red and white cooler where the top slid down.
I love it.
And Kim, who is sitting at my kitchen counter right now, was probably with me the majority of the
love it.
times on the Jersey Shore beach when we ate those plums. And I love when you take a bite of that plum and the juice is running down your chin and then it's running down your elbow. And that's a very nostalgic thing for me with a Jersey plum.
Let's see if this tastes to you like a Jersey plum.
Okay.
Oh,
Totally different.
I love
Wow.
Santa Rosa plums. They taste like paint thinner in a good way.
What? Hoby? What? Were you eating paint thinner?
No, I don't, I'm kidding. But they have
Are you though?
They have this kind of cool, chemically amazing taste that I've always loved. And I've always, ever since I was about 2
Oh yeah,
years
there it
old,
is. Okay.
I've loved Santa Rosa plums because they have that almost, maybe it's not paint thinner, maybe it's nail polish remover.
Yeah.
Acetone?
And yeah, it's like a little bit acetone and estery. And what's funny,
Who's
when my partner Justin tastes like a really big red wine, he always says, oh man, it has my acetone factor, meaning that it has the flavor that he associates with that wine, which is that very ketone estery thing.
Now you're getting super into the organic chemistry of wine.
You grew up in a hardware store. Yeah, exactly.
So you wouldn't say it's a petroleum like a
No, it's more acetone.
acetone.
I said paint thinner. Now let's taste the North Star. This hurt it less because the fruit is more matured.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that works.
Totally different.
And with a little bite of cheese too.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that pairs.
This is very different than a New Jersey plum.
And so tell me about the sort of flavor of this versus the flavor of the Jersey plum.
Jersey plum, especially when you eat it at that peak ripeness like I was describing, is a much deeper, sweeter, riper. It doesn't have that chemically high-toned note. It is just like plum pie. Like it is just very rich and unctuous and sweet.
Like what you would expect when we drink a really big wine, big red wine, and we say, this is plum.
Yes.
That's the, okay.
Very different than this.
I got
Even
it.
the color, the inside of the color of this Santa Rosa plum is a little more yellow, almost like a nectarine.
Yes.
Whereas a Jersey plum is a very different color inside, darker color.
So the Jersey plum has darker color that matches the darker flavor.
Yes. This almost just looks like a big cherry, a huge cherry.
So funny. Okay. Huh.
They're very different.
Who knew?
But I like these. This was my first Santa Rosa plum.
Nice.
I think mine too, and I live here.
I love these. I
That's
love these
interesting.
fruits.
Thank you.
Thank you. I could go on and on about wine and food pairings. So.
Well, no, it's fine. But Kim has some listener questions.
Listener questions.
I love listener questions.
So I'm going to pass the mic to her because these are great kind of chemistry based, and these have come up organically, pun intended, over the last couple days when she and I were tasting things, and she was like, "Why is this way? And why is this that way?" And I was like, "That's a great question for Hoby." So maybe that's a new segment on the podcast. It's called "That's a Great Question for Hoby." So here you go, Kim.
Kim, how are you?
I'm great. So we were at Bodega Bay yesterday.
Yeah, one of my favorite places in the world.
So lovely. And we were having Chardonnay, Arista Chardonnay,
Okay. Oh, that's fun.
which was lovely.
Yeah.
But it changed in the glass there
Interesting.
because of the salt air, I think, but also like the vegetation. So
Absolutely.
what I got in the glass, it was so weird because all of a sudden I had these floral notes.
Yeah.
And I was like, why?
Where is that coming from?
Where did that come from?
Right.
And that was, we had that wine in 2 different locations at the coast. So
that's
first
fascinating.
we sat down and had some oysters, and we were down at the bay
Okay.
at a table with the bay eating some oysters, both raw and barbecued.
Okay.
Then we moved and got some chowder and went up to the bodega
I
head,
see.
and we were sitting up at the top overlooking the cliffs and the ocean. Same wine in the glass, and
Oh
Kim
my
goes,
God.
"Why now, when we're sitting in front of the crashing waves of the ocean, is this wine more floral?" And it had changed in that second location, right?
Yes.
That's so fascinating. And here's what I would say is that your outside surroundings will always affect the way that the wine tastes and the way that you perceive it. So I always feel like in a restaurant setting is maybe one of the worst places to really try to taste a wine and understand a wine because there's so much going on. You don't know if that wine is true to itself. Whenever I get a chance, I like to step outside of a restaurant to smell and taste the wine that I'm drinking because the surroundings can change it so much. So my prediction is that it tasted and smelled more minerally when the air down by the bay was more vegetal, like more grasses around, more of this sort of stuff. So it was more of that herbaceous around you versus when you went up on the cliffs, you're now in overpowering mineral air, which was way more minerally than the wine in the glass. So you started to notice those more floral components more. So it's like a concentration thing. I think it's about concentration of aroma. And in chemistry, we call this equilibrium. So if you change one side of the equation, the other thing is going to appear more. Does that make sense?
Did that answer your question?
I think that answered my question.
Yeah.
And it's really
So
funny.
it was a thing.
It was a
short,
thing.
Oh, totally.
It was a thing.
Different
So I wasn't making that
1,000%.
up.
minutes apart because we moved.
No.
And this is apart from anything that we're eating.
And
This is
isn't it
before
funny-
we ate
It
a
wasn't even
single
eating.
bite.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
And isn't it funny how jarring it can be when you get it to that new environment and you're used to it in the old environment and you're like, this cannot be the same wine.
That's so cool.
I love that. If you're a nerd about wine, like Nikki and I are,
Excuse me.
am I okay to call you a nerd about wine?
Fine.
We find that we're always paying attention to everything we're tasting, like hypersensitive.
Okay.
So we might notice it a little more than someone else. It's really fun that way.
See, I told you he would be able to tell you why.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the great
I
question.
appreciate that. All right.
Next question.
This is not a wine-related question.
No.
A sensory question. My husband is dairy allergic, peanut and tree nut allergic.
Okay.
He has some other allergies like melons and some
Interesting.
like some citrus zests, and
Okay.
some tropical fruits. He's a lot of fun at parties and restaurants.
Love you, Ellen.
But one of the things that we have really struggled to describe to him is cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese is a huge part of my life.
Cheese is huge. Yeah. Part of my life
but, like,
too. I'm
cheese
And
is
he's never had it. These are
Right.
allergies since birth.
Right.
So he's never even experienced.
Right.
Oh, that's
He's
amazing.
been dairy allergic since he was very
Can
young.
he be near cheese?
Yes. He's not so sensitive to any of those things that he can't be in the room.
Has he smelled them? Maybe not out of choice.
Maybe not
Yeah.
as much. Some cheeses, obviously, are
Right.
close enough you can smell them. But texture-wise, can't really describe it. I can say some of these cheeses are softer and some of these cheeses are, some of them are salty and some of them aren't, but you can't use words like creamy because he doesn't know what that is.
That's a really good question. You threw me for a loop. I got to think about that.
Or nutty.
But
You know,
I
like
to-
some of them have nutty.
Yes.
But I told her to ask you that because you're so good at describing things
you.
in a
Nikki, thank
unique
you.
and different way. And I was like, he might be able to answer that.
Okay, here's my best, as I eat a piece of hard cheese, here's my best go at this. Can he eat eggs?
Yes.
Okay, so if you do French eggs, which are very lightly scrambled and very fluffy and very creamy, that to me is like a really soft, ripe brie. That lightness, that fluff. Harder scrambled eggs, maybe like a brie with a little bit of a harder rind and a little less ripe. Hard boiled eggs or a fried egg that's cooked over hard where the yolk is hard. I don't want to pay too much attention to the white when we talk about boiled or fried eggs, but that hard yolk to me is the closest in texture to a hard cheese. And there's a good reason for that. Yolk is fat and protein.
Okay.
Cheese is fat and protein. So it's essentially a very similar thing with, mind you, a very different texture, but I think that's the best comparison. And this Tuscan cheese that we're eating right now actually has little crystals in it, and those crystals are an amino acid. They're tyrosine crystals, actually, that form in some cheeses that are aged. And that, to me, is a little bit gravelly. You can feel the texture on your palate. So that's a really hard question. How to describe cheese to someone who's never had it is almost like how to describe what looking at color is like to me. It's a tough thing to do, but it's a really interesting and insightful question. And Alan, I would love to sit with you sometime and describe the experience of tasting a few different cheeses, and maybe you can describe to me what it feels like to look at a few different colors.
Amazing.
I had one more question. I recently started following you and watching
so
you
sweet.
eat fruit, and you were eating a black watermelon and talking about how it's actually a cucumber cousin,
Yes.
not a melon.
Not a real melon.
So my melon allergic husband, can he eat a watermelon if he can't eat honeydew and cantaloupe?
I, my friend, am a doctor and not a physician. And I am not qualified to offer any health advice. I would
Best guess.
assume the answer is yes.
That's kind of what I think.
But don't try it on my watch, only to find out that there's a big problem.
He's not afraid to try. Nuts would kill him dead, so
Yeah,
he
no.
would not
No,
foray
good-
into that.
Good
But
that he knows that.
a melon, like a watermelon, would probably at best be uncomfortable and not necessarily an anaphylactic reaction.
The black watermelon specifically that you were talking about, that is
All-
more like a cucumber and less
All
like a melon?
watermelons are more cucumbery and less melony than others. So watermelons are like a weird cousin to the traditional melons that we think about. But I think he would be okay with a watermelon. Let's find out. I think he'd be okay.
Listeners, stand by. We will update you on how it goes with Alan And the watermelon.
'Tis the season.
So I think we gave our listeners just some good foundational things to think about. And in part 2, when we return next week, they're going to hear us. I don't even know what is about to happen in this kitchen.
Either.
We have 19
I don't either.
things percolating in the grill, in the pizza oven, in the stove, like 17 different wines. We're only
It's
5
crazy.
people, but we're
Yeah.
going to record our impressions as I think you are excited to share some pairings that you've brought.
I
We
am.
are excited to share some that we've brought. So
I can't wait.
We're going to see who can wow each other better.
Oh, this is great.
So to
Nikki-
be continued.
Nikki and Kim, it's so great. And Michael, it's so great to be with you all. And thank you so much for welcoming me back to the show.
Always a pleasure.
It's an honor, my friend.
Did you know that your perception of your wine could be changed by the air, the smell, and the environment in which you are drinking it? What? Many light bulb moments, and I eat and breathe this stuff all the time. So hopefully you had some ahas and some takeaways that'll just make you think differently next time you're planning your next menu to entertain or out ordering in a restaurant, and just really thinking about, gosh, how can I have the most fulfilling and joyful culinary experience with what I'm about to pair? And how cool about how to describe cheese to someone who's never in their life tasted it. I absolutely loved the egg metaphor, and I think that was super helpful. And we'll let you know how it goes with Alan and the watermelon. A huge thank you to Kim for coming with such great questions, and of course Hoby and Justin for all of their wisdom and beautiful ingredients that they brought. And now you'll have to listen in next week to see us put these principles to the test. How did it go with tandoori chicken wings and Pride Mountain Viognier? How perfect or not was the pairing of our margarita pizza from our wood fire oven with our Sollevato Sangiovese? Or how about the porcini mushroom pasta with bacon and our Fortunato Super Tuscan inspired blend? That's just a little tease of what's to come. And if you would like to get your hands on my wine, Sollevato, that I have handcrafted with love to pair beautifully with some of your favorite things, visit sollevatowines.com. I'll put the link in the show notes, and make sure to use the discount code PODLISTENER for 10% off your order, and we can ship to most states in the US. I'll also drop in the show notes the links to some of the other wines that we tasted and any resources that we referred to. And of course, Hoby's Instagram is in the show notes as well. You definitely want to follow him so you can have your daily dose of mind blown. Whatever you do between now and next week's conclusion, I hope that you sip well.